Friends, welcome to this this sudden third show of today, streaming out. Can you hear me? I am on the YouTube right now. Sorry for the delay. We're talking the hysteria of the Salem witch trials of 1692, and it's 11:24 Eastern Standard Time. (1692) Salem, Mass. Was the infamous Salem witch trials, of which 20 persons were executed, 19 by hanging, and one guy was pressed to death. Famous story of a guy named Giles Corey, big indentured farmer, who unfortunately beat one of his developmentally disabled servants nearly to death himself. But he was accused, along with his wife Martha Corey, of witchcraft. In the case of Giles Corey, he would have been a warlock. Now, there was about 500 people that were executed in the old country of England. So when they talk about the Salem witch trials and they go, 20 persons were killed, we go nuts. And it was pretty bad, but it happened over in the continent. How many people were killed for witchcraft? Anybody out there? I'm really drifting, but let's get into it. Witchcraft in England. I don't even know this. I'm just checking the Google. I know you could all Google it, but I'm Googling it. In England, 513 witches were put to trial between 1560 and 1700. Only 112 were executed. I like how they say only. The last known execution took place in Devon, England, in 1685. Trials were held in Leicestershire in 1717. Overall, 500 people were executed in England. So, there was technically only 20 killed in Old Salem. What do you think about that? Anybody out there? Anybody want to gab? Oh, I got one person. Jump in. We're talking about the witchcraft hysteria. Now, so the 19 of the people were women. The central figure where the problem started from, technically, was a Reverend Paris. I believe his first name is Samuel. The minister, Samuel Paris. So the whole problem got going under him. There was also what they call a mini ice age at the time. So it wasn't a good crop year, and there was battles going on with the indigenous peoples, because of course they moved in there, it wasn't their place. The Salem area is actually called Naumkeaki, or something to that effect. Pronunciation I'm working on. So the core of this problem started with Reverend Paris. He was a minister in Salem Village, Massachusetts, during the infamous witch trials. And he was the father of one of the afflicted girls and the uncle of another. So his father, Thomas, was born in London. He immigrated to the new colonies in the 1660s. He attended Harvard College. So he was a minister, and there was technically or definitely deep politics with regard to this, because the central focus of the new colonies was, of course, the Puritan religion, which was Puritans' similar situation as the so-called Protestants, the fleeing of England to come to the new colonies because of religious problems. Indeed. Witchcraft was huge in Europe in terms of conflict as well. So the internet is saying 500 people killed in England between a large span of time, but it was big. If you read the works of a man called Montague Summers, you'll find that there were witch hunters, just like Van Helsing hunted the vampires. They were witch hunters. And there was a book, and they were searching for evil. Now, Mr. Paris indeed brought a slave woman from Barbados. And he married a woman named Elizabeth Eldridge. His slave woman name was Tituba. And we'll get more to her in a second. Maybe you've probably heard of her. She's quite famous. Probably more famous than Paris. A lot of people they remember the events surrounding Tituba kind of better than actually the name of the Reverend. At least I did, for some reason. So the events which led to this infamous Salem witch trial began when Paris's daughter Betty and a girl named Abigail Williams, who was the cousin, accused Tituba of witchcraft. So Paris beat Tituba until she confessed herself to be a witch. So a lot of people talk about how Tituba had to, it's been discussed, but that she was quite clever. So she was under the witchcraft trial phenomena. And you get the impression she was clever because she didn't fight the thing head on and deny it completely. She basically said, yes, I'm a witch. And she was more or less got out of it alive. But she did confess to being a witch. And that indeed kind of helped her, in a sense. At least that's my impression, because she was not hung. And there was a man named Giles Corey, probably the more famous people. I guess to my mind, Bridget Bishop and Giles Corey were the most well-known out of this hysterical event. Miss Bishop was the first to be confronted in the first group, and Corey was famous because he refused to issue a verdict in this mess. So he was pressed to death. Which is disgusting. So they put the heavy weight on him and they said, "How do you plead?" And he said famously, "More weight." Really gross. Now, the theology part of this was a big part of it was because of the philosophy and theology of increased mather and cotton mather. They were Puritan clergymen in the new Massachusetts Bay Colony. Increase Mather had become president of Harvard College as well. And he was very, very influential at this time, he was a popular figure, and they were extremely influential. And they wrote a lot about spectral evidence. And their influence was deep in the witch trials. I got the impression that they philosophically ran up against another reverend named George Burroughs, who to my mind was a little bit more open-minded. He tried to get out of the situation by saying the Lord's Prayer, which was believed that a witch could never say the Lord's Prayer. But it didn't save him. He was still hung. He was the only minister executed for witchcraft during these infamous trials. Now, Paris, again, who this was the Reverend, who out of his household. What's up, dude? I'm talking the infamous witch trials. Samuel Paris was the minister where this mess got going. It had to do with politics and money and, hysteria. There was, I've gotten the impression there was an old-timey religion that was practiced in the region of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, as well as this was the city on the hill. The Bible, very intense, puritanical religion that stressed self-discipline and we get the impression that it was very repressive and serious. And yet Paris himself tried to make a lot of dough when he said, "I don't want to have any candle holders that are just wooden. I want them to be gold." And then his daughter comes down with the hysteria, the witchery. the idea of being bewitched. His daughter and his cousin, there were, I believe, 5 girls that began to behave strangely. And the blame first came, I believe, on Tituba, the slave woman from Barbados. I've heard a lot of different things about her, that she was Spanish or from Barbados or whatnot. But it is always interesting that she managed to kind of get out of the jam. At least that's my impression. Samuel Paris early on beat her until she confessed to the witchcraft. Hey. How are you, Gene? The Disclosure Gang is here to talk about witchcraft hysteria. How does the witchcraft hysteria kind of compare to UFO hysteria? Are they both real? And again, quote unquote, the events which led to the Salem witch trials began when Paris's daughter Betty and her cousin Abigail accused Paris's slave Tituba of witchcraft. Paris beat Tituba until she confessed herself a witch. John Indian, her husband, began accusing others, and the delusion spread. During the 16-month duration of the Salem witch trial phenomenon, 19 persons were hanged, and Giles Corey was pressed to death. More weight! I'm just Skippy. Wow, we need Laura here for witchcraft. What's Skippy mean? Now, this is interesting. Do they have that sort of stuff in Oklahoma? Give me that old-time religion. I just remember the signs are really funny there, like, the devil isn't welcome here at Reverend Cephas's place, whatever. The churches kind of look like old malls and stuff. Oh, Skippy is Charlie. Slang from Oklahoma. Something you don't get everywhere. I really started this gab slowly, but I'm looking into the Salem witch trials. The devil is in Oklahoma. Yeah, you got the sideways ball lightning. Holy shit. I've got my new hat that's supposed to protect against the EMFs. I hope. Samuel Paris is portrayed in a song by Janet Landberg, Happy for You, on the album Forbidden World. Anybody know her? I don't know. What about the giant catfishes? The Bald Eagle Claw Online Gong Fu Society. What is this channel about? I don't know. I rap about anything. Maybe you came in. I did a couple of them on Count Dante. I don't know. Are you guys similar to them? Black Dragon Society? This channel is about anything and everything that I just come on and rap about at random. Once in a while, people get pissed off. I just had a nasty comment for a guy who commented on a book review I did, Peter Lavander's Dark, whatever. And they're like, this didn't mean anything. I mean, I was reviewing some guy's book, and I was discussing some of it, and I don't think you can really over-lecture on some guy's freaking copyrighted book, really. I mean, you could discuss certain elements, but holy shit. That's right, screw them. The Bald Eagle Claw Online Gong Fu Society. That's an awesome fucking name. No, I was talking about how the witch trials got going from basically pretty much what looked to be a pretty darn corrupt Reverend Samuel Paris, and he got the thing rolling. Also, High Sheriff George Corwin did a lot of the torturing of the people using strangulation techniques. And Judge John Hawthorne, a great-grandfather of Nathaniel Hawthorne, was a hanging judge who signed a lot of the warrants. And he's buried over in Salem, Massachusetts at the Charter Street Cemetery, said to be the second oldest in America. Very interesting. I think he had an effect on Nathaniel Hawthorne, who kind of wrote on spiritual subjects. And he would later marry one of the Peabody sisters, Sophia, and they hung around in that cemetery because she suffered from migraine headaches. I like this. Richard Rose, 1531. Did he try to poison the queen's food or something? That looks like a good one. It is interesting to collect crazy stories. Now, so those are some of the villains in this case. Samuel Paris got it going. And probably one of the good guys who try to deal with this mess was Governor Phipps. Governor Phipps. Technically a royal governor. So the points of command, or the commanders, or the bosses, shall we say at this time, were Cotton Mather, Increase Mather, and they had a little kind of a power struggle going on with Phipps. And Phipps administered the court of Oyer and Terminer. Oyer and Terminer. That's not related to what he's talking about. Reverend Samuel Paris of Salem Village. Who was Governor Phipps? Okay, there we go. Now, William Phipps. Actually, looks like the guy had an interesting life. Because he was the guy who tried to put an end to this madness. He was born in Maine in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. And he was of humble origin. And he established a court to deal with the infamous witch trials. And he did the best he could. Oyer and Terminer. He also discovered a sunken ship. That's what he did. Very interesting. This dude had a good life. Interesting life. It was Archbishop Fisher he tried to poison. King Henry VIII ordered him to be boiled to make an example to Bishop Fisher for not acknowledging his marriage to Anne Boleyn. I've always wondered, Anne Boleyn, she must have really been something. To create a new religion. Because the king loved her so much that he was willing to tell the whole Catholic Church to screw. Very interesting. Interesting. King Henry VIII. I had to approve that. She must have had a nice ass. Yes. I guess so. Anne Boleyn. Must have been very attractive in some way, somehow. So Phipps and Increased Mather reached Boston in separate ships on May 14th of 1692. Phipps was highly differential toward the theocracy of the Puritan people. Whereas, of course, Increased Mather was big into it. So he instituted this court of Oyer and Terminer to deal with this mess, as we said. No luck. I tend to kind of give the credit for, he was slow in getting this thing done, but to the best of my knowledge, I give Governor Phipps the credit for kind of slowing this madness down. I don't mind. Not at all, my friend. I don't mind that word at all. I don't know. They need to come up with some other words for that, though. I don't know. Derriere, the glutes maximus, the bum. Yeah, I guess I can sort of give Phipps the credit for kind of beginning the journey to end the madness. So, as a final stroke before Phipps left to return back to England, he pardoned all those who had been accused of witchcraft. Most had already been reprieved, but a pardon ensured they would not be brought to trial in his absence. He sailed from the harbor until sunset on the Sabbath, firing guns from his ship. Very interesting, in a certain sense. Yes. Yes. In fact, the witchcraft is one of the most fastest growing religions, right? What happened to Reverend Paris? So he did get dismissed at some point in this political battle to end the madness of the hysteria, moved to Concord, Mass, and lived there until 1705. Then he moved to Dunstable, where he preached for 6 months. So he just got dismissed, Paris did. He didn't get in trouble for kind of starting this screw up. In other words, kicking him out helped. Was he to blame for the trials? I tend to think so. So they went through a lot of ministers there, and people were kind of like, there was just a lot of politics with this minister stuff. He played a pivotal, many historians agree that he played a pivotal role in the Salem witchcraft. We quote unquote, we have been thus particular in relation to the settlement of Mr. Paris in Salem Village, it being one of the causes which led to the most bitter parochial quarrel that ever existed in New England, and in the opinion of some persons was the chief primary cause of that worldwide famous delusion, Salem witchcraft. Or perhaps they all were really witches, and Paris was right. They had to go after him. Paris's daughter, Betty Paris, and Abigail Williams began displaying the strange behavior and suffering fits, complaining of being pinched by invisible forces. A local doctor was called, but he couldn't determine the cause of the fits, declaring they were bewitched. Oh, maybe the doctor played a role. I can't figure out what's happening. They're bewitched. Thank you for my friends from Oklahoma for jumping in. Yes. In the extreme situations, indeed. The witchcraft power. Now, the first case was of Bridget Bishop, and I've heard a lot of different things about her. Her name also matched another woman by the similar last name. It's been, some stories say that she was the first person executed for witchcraft during the trials. and she had an orchard over by the restaurant there. Turner Fisheries. So she was examined for witchcraft, accused of suspicion of the sundry acts of witchcraft. Bishop was accused of bewitching 5 young women: Abigail Williams, Ann Putnam, Mercy Lewis, Mary Walcott, and Elizabeth Hubbard. A record was giving her a trial by Cotton Mather. He had a book called Wonders of the Invisible World. Chrissy Elliott. Who's that? A singer? Can you guys hear me? The winter of 1692. I don't know. Maybe it was the doctor's fault. I just thought people find it interesting that this woman Tituba, who was arrested, just came out and said she's indeed a witch. Or did she believe she was really a witch? Or was she just kind of clever and got out of it? It's very interesting. But she did. And the women weren't allowed on the ships because they would curse the ships or something like that. The sirens. Oh, I must look her up. That the women were fighting each other on the ship, and then the ship goes down. Let me look up. I have to look up this person. Chrissy Elliott. Ghost. Is she a ghost hunter person? Chrissy Elliott. On Twitter. Do people believe in Bigfoot? Oh, she's got ChrissyElliott.com. Is that her? She's a writer and editor and weird journalist. And she's got Bigfoot. Cryptozoology. Oh, she said. She talks about the same bullshit that I talk about, except she's successful. She's been on the History Channel. Lessons learned from a sex columnist, aerospace writer, and Bigfoot journalist. The controversy surround. Oh, so she does the stuff I do for money. I guess she's better at it, though. Damn. She knows about Bigfoot. Oh, she's got the sex column. That's how she gets it. All right. I dig it. Yes. Thank you, Gene. I know. It doesn't hurt. I wish I had the appeal of this woman, but I don't. Maybe she'll join us tonight. Oh, she's got pictures. She's a strange humorist. Oh, this makes me jealous. She's just kicking ass with her career. Oh, she's on Twitter. Let me follow her. I'll follow her. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you think so. Yes, I will compete with this lady. Oh, it's coming up slowly. Yeah, ghost, UFOs, Bigfoot. That's her. Well, what's going on with you guys? Any questions from the floor? That was my recap of what I think that thing was about. Cotton Mather, increase Mather. Oh, good. Maybe she likes him. Maybe they like each other. And that says something in this cold, cruel world. She thought it was cute, Preston liked her. She went on a ghost hunt in New Orleans. She's a journalist and blogger. I thought it said she's a jogger and a blogger. I'm following her now. The Disclosure Gang. Oh. Is following Chrissy Elliott. Maybe she'll block me. Well, she's got 796 followers. That's pretty good. I guess. Or aren't they supposed to have 760,000 of them or something? I don't know. Maybe I have a fake one. Maybe I found the fake one of her. I don't know. She didn't follow you back. Yeah, I guess they don't want to do that. They have to look like they have a lot of followers. The following is a serious thing, I guess. Yes, I think they would like you to follow them, but they won't follow you. Maybe these people. Apparently, she's been to Willow Creek, California, Bigfoot area. "60 Minutes" had a story on UFOs. I guess they're really laying on the UFO stories because of the inflation. Maybe the economy's going to shit. So, Chrissy Elliott. She's got 38 likes. I guess she's semi. Somebody retweeted, "I went on a hunt for the Easter Bigfoot and now he's eating my ass. Bigfoot is real and he tried to eat my ass." Okay. I guess she's Well, she's cooler than I am, I suppose. I have to reckon with that. Okay. She replied to Preston, therefore she could have ignored you, but she liked enough to reply. She said she'd give him a curtsy if they meet in person. Bald Eagle Claw says, I didn't believe in UFOs till I saw one. Interesting. Where did you see one, my friend? Okay, no, that's cool. Nice. Ooh. Right. No disclose the information here. Hmm. Interesting. Did I lose some people? We're waiting for Gene to get back. I hope I didn't drift too far, fucking up this show. The infamous witch trials. Missy Elliott. Chrissy Elliott. I was getting her mixed up with Missy Elliott, the famous hip hop artist. Got some message retracted. That's cool. I understand, Claw. You don't want to really give out the information, but I get your point. Well, it's getting pretty late Eastern Standard Time. I enjoyed rapping with everybody. Is Gene coming back? I got a little drifting here. Oh, the threat. All right. I won't read it aloud here. But I will know that it's coming in at some point. I didn't get it yet. Oh, there we go. Is it, I can't really see it, Gene. Damn. Right. A long thread. Okay. So how do I see it? Is it in a message? Oh, no. I don't know. I can't really see it. That's all right. But it's official disclosure gang business. Okay. Thank you. I Stash Prada. Appreciate it. Well, I'm drifting. I know. I love being in the disclosure game. I'm going to come visit you guys someday. Well, it's past midnight here, Eastern Standing Time. I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight as I rapped about the Salem Witchcraft Hysteria for a certain time. And I love you guys. Thank you, Jean, sorry. And Preston. And I will be, thank you, Jean. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed brief talk, semi-lucid talk on the Salem witch trial hysteria. And I appreciate guys for being here. I will look for that thread on Twitter. Until we meet again, we are the Disclosure Gang. Thank you for jumping in. Bald Eagle Claw Online Kung Fu Society. Appreciate your comments and miss you guys. Talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao.